Welcome back to Crew Equipped. Oh my goodness, it is already October, guys. We are entering into the last 3 months of the year. Can you believe it? October, November, and December are like here now. So, we starting to see like Christmas decorations in the store. How crazy is that? But yeah, it's we're really getting into like the fall season. If you're in the Midwest, it's cold. Not like cool, it's cold outside. And so we just want to welcome you to our October edition of Crew Equipped. This month we are going to be talking about harvest time. And so, look, get comfortable, pull up a seat, or if you're at the gym, put it in your AirPods or put it on your Bluetooth if you're driving. Yeah, just take in what God has for us for the month of October. We are going to be talking about harvest time. And so we're going to be talking about this entire month, like the who, the what, and the when. So who gets the harvest, or who is the one that's harvesting? And then, what are we harvesting anyway? And then the last lesson, or the last topic we'll talk about is, guess what? When should we harvest? And so we're going to kick it off right away, and we're going to talk about what or who is harvesting. So remember, we're talking about the who, the what, the when. And so the first week we're gonna talk about who is harvesting. All right. So last month we had, some really heavy hitters as far as Crew Equipped and the topics that we were talking about. We talked about the 3 S's. Minister Noble did an excellent job. And so we're going to just go and move forward. If you still have any questions about any of those topics, we know that they were deep and could be a little more difficult to comprehend and walk through. Just hit us up. Our email address is posted below. You can email us. We will reply. Or if you just want to leave a comment in the comment section, we'll reach out to you that way. But even better yet, you can come see us in person in Carpentersville, Illinois. If you are a youth or a teenager, or even if you're an adult and you just need a church to call home, come and visit us at Faithwalk Harvest Center in Carpentersville, Illinois, 400 Maple Avenue. We would love to have you. All right, so back to Crew Equipped for the month of October. We're talking about harvest time. So, hey, did you know that when you plant something, something grows? It's science. There's a whole lot of other stuff that happens in the process, but the reality is that, it could, in principle, seem very easy. You take a seed, you put it in the ground, you water it, and you watch it grow over time. But I want to ask you, not just from like the sense of did you actually go out, in the springtime and dig up some dirt and put a seed in the ground, but when you think about planting, think about the aspect of what have you planted in your life this year? What have you planted in other people's lives this year? And we're going to talk about, what those things are. So if you plant it, guess what? The Bible says that if you plant it, you have the opportunity to reap or harvest. So let's think about this. Now, this year was a dud for me as far as actually going out to the garden and planting something. Didn't make it. My kids love to do it. We did it last summer with the help of some wonderful people. We were able to plant, a couple of things, and the kids loved watching it grow and watching, the fruit come from the tree. But we did not make the time period this year to plant something in the ground. But I can tell you one thing, even though you may have not, if you were like me, you may not have planted anything in the ground, but you did plant in other ways. You did plant spiritually. You did plant with your time. You planted in other ways. You planted with just care, and we're going to talk about a little bit more of that. So I want you to turn to Genesis chapter 8, verse 22. Okay? Genesis chapter 8 and 22 says, while the earth remains, seed time and harvest, cold and heat, summer and winter, day and night shall not cease. What does that mean? That means that no matter what, this is a promise of God. This is a principle of heaven, that no matter what time it is, no matter what year it is, these things are going to happen. And the first thing it says seed time and harvest. Remember, I said I missed the seed time. in the natural. But I did not miss a seed time in regards to being able to pour into somebody or give into someone or even give into myself or give into the kingdom or give to God. And so it says there's seed time and harvest. So if you planted anything this year, maybe you said, you know what, Keisha, I'm not the gardening type, but I planted love into someone this year. Like I focused on someone to make sure that they knew that they were loved this year. Or maybe you planted your time. Maybe you said, I'm going to go and help out somebody this year or for a time period because they need help. Maybe you were a tutor. Maybe you helped somebody at school, like learn a new skill. Or maybe you were just a friend. You sowed your time. Whatever you sow, whatever seed you planted, let me tell you something. If you planted something based off of the principle of God, that means you qualify for the harvest. You are the who. You are the who in the harvest. And so let's turn to, actually, let's not, but you can if you want to. You could turn to Exodus 23 and 16. We're not going to read it, but I do want to talk about it. It talks about the Feast of Harvest. And the Feast of Harvest was a time in the Bible where they literally reaped what they harvested. And so I want us to understand that, like, this isn't something that's new. This has been around for for the entire Bible. The Bible is built on the principle of seed time and harvest, okay? It says, you shall keep the Feast of Harvest of the fruits of your labor. So that means that if you have sown anything, if you worked hard at it, if you've poured into something, it says you shall keep the feast, and at the end of the year, you will gather from the field your fruit. So if you got fruit, right? If you're getting fruit right now, that's because you planted something. But I know you're like, okay, well, maybe, what if I didn't plant something? It's okay. If you didn't plant something, you still have time. You can always plant something because God's timing and the world's timing are two different times. So even though in the natural, we may be in an actual fall season or in a harvest season, that does not disqualify you from being able to reap a harvest. Turn to Ephesians chapter 4, verse 28. It says, let the thief no longer steal, but rather let him labor, doing honest work with his own hands, so that he may have something to share with anyone in need. What I want you to do is not be a thief, but be a giver. It's important that you are the one that gives in the time of harvest. And so, but it's also important that you protect the seed that you've planted. You are the one that gets to harvest. And so since you are the one that gets to harvest, you also must cover and protect your harvest. You must cover and protect your fruit. Because the Bible says that the devil comes to kill, steal, and destroy. So if you planted love, expect love in return. If you planted joy, expect that in return. If you planted your time, expect someone to pour time into you. But you have to protect your harvest. Don't let the devil come and try to snatch it because it's yours. Is yours. And so we're going to go deeper next week when it comes to, look, okay, we talked about the who, but now we're going to talk next week. We're going to talk about the actual what. We touched on a little bit of the what this week, but we're going to go deeper and say, what am I harvesting? What do I actually get to gain from every seed that I've sown? All right, so thank you guys for tuning in this week. I'm going to see you next week for another episode of Crew Equip.